She is straight talk. She is a no nonsense type of lady. You are about to view the television show for real and no nonsense. It's straight talk for real life situations. Ladies and gentlemen, let's give it up for television talk show host Ramay Rodriguez.
Hello, everyone. I'm so glad to have you here this evening for another show for real and no nonsense, real talk about real life situations, brought to you on Endure Entertainment, BFTM Network. Today, we're going to continue on with our discussion about relationships and also Women's History Month and Social Work Month. Now, with that said, I'm going to go ahead and go over what I was explaining to you all last week about a new show that I found to be very interesting called "Marry Me Now." And in this show, Rebecca Lynn Pope has women who have been in a relationship for at least a year to 7 years. And these women want to marry their mates. And they feel like it's long overdue. It's time for their mates to go ahead and ask them to marry. And so they've taken the initiative to contact the um, the inventor of this show, who I told you is Rebecca Lynn Pope, and ask her to help them to put this their desire to be married together in something that and like another show, make it look like it's another show, so that they can get their mate to marry them. So I'm saying that to say that basically what they're doing is that they're making their future mate or possible mate, who is their boyfriend, think that they're going to be on another show, and actually it is on the show Marry Me Now. They're actually going to be on the show Marry Me Now. They're not going to be on the show that they think they're going to be on, whatever the show may be. But that's what they're prepared for. So this person that they're interested in marrying, that they've been in a relationship with, is going to be taken totally off guard when they ask them to marry. Now, this is something that I told you. I like the concept of the show. I admire the courage of the women to come onto the show, and even how Rebecca Lynn Pope is working with these women and stuff like that, because she's not leading them on in any way. She's letting them see, as a relationship expert that she is, what they're really dealing with. And sometimes that helps to give them closure, even if the closure comes through marriage or the closure comes through them getting into another relationship. She helps these women to get closure for what they want, and that is they want to be in a relationship, as a marriage relationship with the person that they love. So I like the whole concept, and I'm telling you, it is good TV. I watched the episode, and I'll tell you all, y'all should tune in. Again, it's on Saturday nights, right after Love, Marriage in Huntsville, and it's at 9 p.m. on OWN and the Discovery Channel. I'm telling you guys, y'all should watch. It is really good TV, and it's something that you can talk to about with your friends, and just like watching other shows, you may want to have some of your friends over, whether they're men or women, and see what they think about it, especially the ones that are not married. That'll be really good to see how they feel about it and everything like that. But y'all don't get over there and start fussing and fighting and see somebody say y'all being messy and starting in trouble because y'all invited them over. Y'all know they're not married. Get the mature friends. You don't mind watching it. Don't ask them their business. Let them leave there and discuss what they're going to discuss, on their way home, or, on the phone later on, or whatever. Don't get into it any kind of way. Just enjoy it. It's a way of you guys bonding and stuff like that, not breaking up your friendship because you're interfering. So if you know you have the tendency to be messy, don't call on none of your friends over there to watch, because you don't want to look like the fire starter. All right. All right, that's godly wisdom. You don't want to like the fire starter, but if you feel like you have mature friends that enjoy watching this with you, and y'all can have fun watching, it's an interesting program to watch. But with that said, we're going to continue on and talk about some things about the show that like I told you I was. I had the chance to watch the show. I'm not going to tell you the outcome of the first episode, but I will say to you all this, as I said before. I hope that I never get into a relationship at my age and feel that I have the need to ask a man to marry me. I just feel like I just hope that I never do that because I believe at a certain age that you should not have to put yourself out there like that. And like I said last week, the women are in their 20s or something like that, then I can understand a little bit more about uh, uh, why they're doing this or whatever, and stuff. But if they're in their 30s, 40s, 50s, so on and so forth, I think that you should know that you don't have to do that. But in their 20s, they're young, they're younger, and they feel like they just really, really want to get married because they're seeing their friends from college, high school, and everything get married. They feel like that's something that they want to do. They don't want to be left out in the conversations about people getting married and everything like that and having children. So that's understandable. And then with them being young, they don't know everything about the world. Now, if they had to live on their own for at an early age and had to navigate their way through the world at an early age, and that's a different story. And then at that point, you're dealing with a person who has a level of maturity. They do have certain aspects of knowing what they're getting into, but at the same time, I still say it's not the same thing that is somebody who's in their 30s, 40s, 50s, and so on and so forth, who has been around the world a little bit and knows um, uh, what people do when they want to and what people don't do when they don't want to. That's all I'm saying. And with that said, you know, you're putting yourself out there as these women do on this show. As I said, if it's a woman who is in maybe her 20s or something, or if it's a woman who the man has asked her repeatedly to marry and she didn't want to marry him, and then he stopped asking, or she's messed up in a relationship and she wants to let him know that she's serious about the relationship now, then maybe so. But other than that, no, because I think that we should know as women at a certain point we should know the man who you're in a relationship with, just as the man should know you, and you should know what you can live with and what you cannot live with, and you should know how long you can live with some things and how long you cannot live with some things. And I think that if you ask yourself those questions, then you have the answer that you want. And when you go and you speak with him about it and stuff, then it's more of something where you can listen without all the animosity and anger. You can speak to him with a level of maturity, knowing that as he has his own thoughts and views about marriage, you have your own thoughts and views about marriage, and you're not going to waver because that's what you want. So, as as uh, as I stated before, I think that the woman should possibly meet up with her significant other somewhere outside the house or the or where she lives, if or out the house where he lives, or if they live together. I think that they should go somewhere like a restaurant, an open place, because people tend to act better when other people are around if they have common sense. And if you're not in a relationship with somebody that lacks common sense, then you have your answer. I don't think you should put yourself out there with somebody you know who doesn't have any common sense, because that's not wisdom. But I think that if you're in a relationship with someone who has common sense, I think that you should go out and meet in a restaurant or something, somewhere like that. And it would be a restaurant. It should, in my idea, and this is all for entertainment purposes. The whole thing that I'm saying, you don't have to do anything that I'm saying, but let's just say if you want to do this or something, um, you know, I think that it would be good to book a hotel room close to where the restaurant is. So pick a restaurant in the area where you feel like you guys would be comfortable in eating a nice meal, and then a hotel room perhaps after that. And I think that with the hotel room, then you can go there yourself afterwards if it does not pan out the way you want it to go, without trying to go and drive, and you're upset and hurt feelings, because then you could put yourself in something where it could cause you to have an accident or something because you're too emotional. So that would be a thought. Um, and then if it does work out and everything like that, and you book the hotel room and stuff like that, then I'm not saying take him to the hotel room. I'm just saying, you may want to use that as your own time, for time to process everything, and maybe call your friends and stuff, and so he doesn't know about it or anything like that, so that way y'all can laugh and talk and get it out of your system without him being right there by you and stuff. Because I'm not telling you to go and put yourself out there to sleep with him, if you've not slept with him, because then he could possibly change his mind about marrying you, because everybody's not compatible in bed, and that's just the reality about it. Okay, everybody's not compatible. And some of y'all may not like to hear that, but it's just the honest truth. We need to be honest. So many times people in the church don't want to be honest and stuff. But not everybody's need to sleep with. It's a person that they're in a relationship. That sometimes that's a deal breaker. You may find that there are things about him that you didn't know about him that you just can't stand, and vice versa. So, I think that's why the biblical perspective about having sex is the best. This is just my opinion, because when you have the biblical perspective of having sex and you wait until you're married, you have nothing to go from. You don't have any other sexual experiences that you can reflect back on and start saying, oh, well, well, this makes me feel like this, or this person did this, in your head, because it's not wise to tell somebody that loves you in a relationship and you compare him to another person. But in your head, he wouldn't have anything to reflect back on, you wouldn't either, if you hadn't had intercourse and you waited until marriage. And that's why I was saying last week, people these days, I've just been watching, in my observation is that standards for living have, people just don't want to uphold a lot of standards on certain things, but then they want the results that standards yield. And standards yield a whole lot of positive results. I'm not talking about tradition. I'm talking about standards. I'm speaking from biblical standards on how to do things. Um, they yield positive results, and then also in uh, uh, being able to carry yourself as a woman in a relationship is another thing. See, a man is watching you even when he's not married to you. And so you may be thinking that you're having fun and this and that, the other, just doing things and you're being yourself. Yeah, you want somebody you can be yourself with, but check and make sure who you really are inside is not somebody that you don't need to be. Okay? Get rid of some habits that should not be. That you see when you do your soul searching and stuff, sometimes see it's like this. We're a product of our environment, and if your environment has been promiscuous, if your environment has been cutthroat, if your environment has been low class, you need to uproot those things, because men watch. And somebody listening to me may say, oh, well, they do stuff too. Well, reality check. Yes, they do. But in the world that we live in, unfortunately, they're not always penalized like women. Okay? That's why now so many women are coming forth and they're letting people know things that they don't like and things that we're upset about. And like you have the Me Too movement, which goes into this whole different aspect of women, speaking of women uh, being acknowledged. And that spins off other things throughout history where women have done things and stuff like that, have been reduced to doing things that they should not have done to get what they need. And that spins off into something totally different. So what you want to be is the woman that the Bible speaks of, that virtuous woman. That's what you want to be. And so if you're with a man who says, forget all that, this is 2022 and this is what I need from you, and it's not the other, then you have your answer. And no matter how much he has, it's not the other. That's not the man for you. Because if he's the man for you and he's willing to date you, and then you all are able to set up a time when you all can get married, and then he can get those sexual things that he wants. Now, like I told you, this is for real and no nonsense. Straight talk for real life situations. That's what this show is about. Straight talk for real life situations. And that's for entertainment purposes because I don't want anybody to feel like I'm telling them what to do. But I can still give you my opinion on it. Now, you don't have to receive my opinion or anything. But also, let's just remember that in not receiving my opinion and everything, that you still putting yourself out there, for different things, and that you really may not want. Now, I just care. I care about people. I just care about people. Some people don't care what happens either way, but I just care about people. Because I would want somebody to tell me the truth about it, and everything. So that's where I am with it, and so I'm showing you love. Some people are not going to tell you something because they don't want you to resent them. And some of y'all need to get out of it, resent people when they tell you the truth, and stuff like that. And so this is where we are. And so I just thank you all that tuned in to listen to me, Miss Falana, Dapo, and everybody else. I thank you all for being here because it means a lot to me to have people listen to me and everything. But when we were raised, it was it takes a village to raise a child, and so sometimes we can be children and not thinking. Just because the body gets older does not mean that the mind processes certain things that are transpiring at the same rate as the body grows. And so that means that we can be immature in a lot of aspects. And I think that women tend to be immature in a lot of aspects. We grow up, we get these bodies that men are attracted to and everything. We can hold conversations where we're articulate, intelligent, and everything. But at the same time, with all those things, we have to realize that we cannot expect for whether it's a man or any other person to do more for us than we should do for ourselves. I think that's the best way to say it. So when I go back to what I was originally saying about if a woman is interested in a man asking her to marry and finding out if he wants to marry her, then goes to something like a restaurant and then book a hotel nearby in a safe area where, no matter what his decision is, you can have some alone time to process whatever has been said. And so, in asking him if he desires to marry you, you want to emphasize that you need a timeline. And the timeline should be based on the amount of time that you've already spent with him in a relationship. That defines the timeline. You always want to use wisdom. If you've already spent 5 years in a relationship with him, where you know that you've done your very best and you've been your very best person in the relationship, you don't need to try to go another 3 or 4 years. It is what it is. You can spend a year planning for a wedding, but you don't need to go another 4 or 5 years. And you don't need to subject yourself to him saying that there are things that he needs to do in order to prepare to marry you, this and that, the other, and stuff like that. If he has not got his bills together by now, if he has not got his job together by now, anything like that, then at this point, you need to ask yourself, why do you want to marry a man who cannot take care of his own needs? Because that's unrealistic. You shouldn't marry a man who cannot take care of his own needs. Remember, I spoke to you from a psychological perspective last week about Maslow's hierarchy of needs. And that's for food, shelter, so on and so forth. If this man cannot provide for his own food, his own shelter, pay his own bills, then why are you with him? If it's because of sex, then that's the deal breaker too, because he's not the only one that can please you. And as I said, you should wait until marriage. But if it's because of sex and you don't want to wait, I'm telling you, there are others out there that will make you laugh at the fact that you even thought his sex was good. They do exist. So as I've stated to you, you need to start being real with yourself. And when you're real with yourself, if you know that you have little ways that are not good, and you know that, like I told you, men watch you and the little ways that you have, that you may think you're being cute, and you may think that you're showing off with this man all your styles and methods in the bedroom, this and that, the other. He's taking notes, and sometimes he's saying that. Now I don't mind her being nasty with me, but how many other men she been nasty with? That's how men do. So when you're asking her to marry you, he's thinking about some of those things. I love her, but the truth is, I don't know if I want to marry her, because she's been around. She's had sex with a lot of people, and I don't know if I want this woman to be my wife. What I'm telling you may be hurting your feelings, but I'm telling you the way men think. So you don't need to show a man everything about you. If you sit up and you talk to a man about your friends or family members, and you say little cutthroat things about your family members and your friends, when you're asking him to marry you, he's thinking to himself, well, she's asking me to put my name with hers. And so I have certain aspects of my business, my bank account, my car, anything, my health. And let's say, like, we have to make transactions and stuff. And I mean, she's getting too close to my finances, and she knows a lot about me. She's cutthroat. Or if I marry her and stuff like that, and something happens to my health, then with her being my wife, that means she makes the final decision if something happens to my health, whether she permits me to live or die. Now, this thing may seem far fetched, but I'm telling you, men think all kinds of things. I once heard a pastor say, if you give a woman a stick, that becomes a wand or something like that. Like she's basically taking it, she's playing with it, like she said, oh, I wish a good day on you, or something like that. But something very nice, like something like in Cinderella or something like that. With the fairy godmother with her little wand and changing the pumpkin into a carriage. But if you give a man a stick, I mean, a little boy a stick, it becomes a sword. I'm saying that again to let you know that the thought process is different. It's different. And so if you look at it from that aspect, then you can protect yourself better. A marriage is a business arrangement. Some people may not tell you that, but it is. And you have to conduct business during marriage. If you're thinking about marrying somebody who cycles off his money, who can't even make sure that anything is paid on time, then you don't need to ask him to marry. No, I'm gonna tell you like this. I saw some things on the show, and I'm not gonna tell you the output of it, what happened at the end, the outcome. But I'll say this: if you've been with a man for a number of years, and if you ask him to marry, and there's certain things that he wants to do first, and then at the wedding, people at the wedding, at these shows, for the show I'm telling you about, Marry Me Now, the people are sitting in the chapel or the place that they picked to have the wedding, and they're waiting for the marriage to take place. So literally, when the woman walks up and asks her significant other to marry, then on all the episodes, they start getting dressed and the marriage is held that day. So a man says, okay, yes, or okay, no. And that woman has all these people sitting in the chapel or where they decide to have the wedding held. And so if the man says no, she's publicly humiliated. If the man says yes, then she's happy. But that's a big gamble to take. That's a big risk to take. And see, in my opinion, you're giving that man too much power over your life. You're really saying my happiness in life depends on whether or not you marry me. And that's been unrealistic. Your happiness in life should not depend on whether or not a man will marry you. Your happiness in life should depend on your relationship with God and how you treat others and how you treat yourself. It should not depend on any other aspect than those three things. Because if it depends on those three things, then everything else falls in line. And so when I think about this show, and as I said, I think it's a good concept because what the person Rebecca, the life coach, is doing is giving these ladies an opportunity to really examine who they are inside and what needs they have, and to put things into perspective. What can they live without? You cannot force somebody to love you. And there are people who are capable of living with people for years and have it in their mind that they never intend to marry them. So, what I'm telling you, if you're in a relationship and you're happy and the man is happy, and he says, hi, I'm not happy, hey, why don't we move in together? Your response should be, I don't move in with a man when I am not married to him. And then you should wait and listen for his response. Because whatever his response is who he is. Don't interrupt him. Let him speak. Because out of the abundance of, because out of the mouth the heart speaks. Abundance of the heart the mouth speaks. Rather. Let him speak. Because when he speaks, he's going to tell you what he really thinks of you and what he really plans to do. And at that point, you can make a decision on whether you want to stay in this relationship or whether you want to end this relationship. And that's it. But I think where the problem comes in is that a woman is so scared that the man is not going to want her if she does not step up to the plate and live with him. And when you do that, what you're actually doing is allowing him to manipulate you. Because a man's going to do whatever he wants to do anyway. So don't allow him to manipulate you. I know it may be hard. I know he may make you feel good. And if you've had sex with him, it may feel like the best sex you've ever had. But don't allow him to manipulate you. You are of value. You are worth waiting for. You may say to yourself, well, I don't have an education or I don't have a skill. Well, get one. That's all I can tell you. Get one. Just like you're spending time with him, spend time studying. Spend that extra time studying. I'm not saying don't get with him still and don't have fun, but I'm saying spend that extra time studying. Put your priorities in perspective. This goes back to what I was saying about deal with you. See, some things we want to impose on others and try to make other people responsible for our happiness because there are areas in our life that we have not done soul searching and we have not evaluated and come to the realization that we need to be more proficient in those areas. And so when we get our feelings hurt, we tend to blame things on it's called projection. We tend to project our feelings on other people and make them responsible for our shortcomings. And that's wrong. That's wrong. You shouldn't do that. What you should do is examine who you are. And if truth be told, you should examine who you are before you sit this person down and let them know that you want to get married. You should probably take a pen or paper and write down everything about yourself that you like and you dislike. And weigh them. And weigh them against your asking him to marry you. Because when you are in a marriage, there will be times when you want to do certain things that your mate will not want to do. And there'll be times when that your mate will want to do certain things and you won't want to do them. Things change when a person gets married. I don't care how long you've been living together, things will change. I once heard the story about a woman who said that her husband did not slap her before they got married. And once they got married, he slapped her when they got in an argument. And she held her face and she said out loud, "You slapped me. You never slapped me before." No matter what we said to each other. And his response was to her, "You weren't my wife then." And if you think I'm being over the top, and if you think I'm being rude, or if you think I'm just being negative, well, I cannot apologize for your thoughts about it. Because this show is called For Real and No Nonsense. Straight talk about real life situations. And I believe in telling people the good, the bad, and the ugly. On the talk show, some men do marry the woman that they've been with for years, and there are others who do not. And I think that it's a very wise man that realizes when he has a good thing. Because the Bible says when a man finds a wife, he finds a good thing. But the Bible does not say a woman can't ask a man to marry. God gives women and men free will. But he also tells you that you need to have wisdom and to get understanding. You need to ask for wisdom and get understanding. The Bible also says that. And when you ask for wisdom and you get understanding, you realize that everything that you may want to do is not expedient. And that's why I said, unless it's certain factors involved, I think that a woman should not ask a man to marry because a man is capable of making quality decisions. And as I said on the last show, he selected you, didn't he, to be his girlfriend. He didn't just go out with you and decide to bed you down and never call you again. He decided that he wanted to be in a relationship with you. So he needs to take initiative to go a step further and to ask you to be his wife. But you need to do your part so that he will respect you enough to do that. And that's the truth about it. A man may not say it, but a man needs to respect a woman. And there's no way to get around it. I'm not trying to hurt anybody's feelings or anything. I was young. I got married in my 20s, and I told you what worked for me. I prayed and I fasted, and I got married. And literally, my ex-husband said that when he was off in his training in Louisiana, he said it felt like something was on top of his chest, and his chest was literally aching. And he said he kept on hearing my voice in his head. And so he called me and asked me to marry him. And because I was so in love with him, I agreed. And then when he got back to San Antonio, then that's when I had said to him, I said, you did not formally ask me to marry you. You asked me to marry you over the phone. And he apologized and got on one knee and asked me to marry him the correct way. And I accepted. We laughed about it. I said on another show, he said the reason why he did that was because he thought that if I said no and he said like a way like funny and humorous, that then it would not hurt him as bad. But you have to let a man be a man and let God be God. And God can deal with a man in places in his heart that you can't deal with him. Your sex cannot deal with him. Having a baby cannot make him marry you. Women have done that throughout history. And if the man married them, that's because they wanted to marry them. That's what I'm trying to tell you. A man has to want to marry you. So don't put yourself out like that for somebody to hurt you and to disappoint you and to let you down. The Bible says that you're beautifully and wonderfully made. But it doesn't say that you're beautifully and wonderfully made for that person that you want. And that's the distinction. Just because you want them does not mean that you need to be with them. You want to be with the person that God wants you to be with. So that may take fasting and praying and asking God to show you who you should be with and to reveal who you should be with. See, your weapon should not be carnal in getting married. Having sex with a man before marriage is a weapon that's carnal. Trying to help him pay bills, living with him, those are weapons that are carnal. In order to pull down the stronghold, which is not getting married, you need to talk to God about it and let him reveal some things to you. And once he reveals them to you, you need to be able to accept what he reveals and not go full speed ahead just because you want what you want. Because you'll get embarrassed in front of your friends and all that kind of stuff and co-workers at work. Forget what other people think. Cut all that out. Let all that go. You only have one heart, one brain, one body. And that's it. Their Lamb's Book of Life is not going to be open for you. And your Lamb's Book of Life is not going to be open for them. So forget what they think about you. And talk to God about your situation. That's all I'm saying. Because when a man really wants to do something, like that song by Percy Sledge, when a man loves a woman, he'll sleep out in the rain. And if he's bad, he doesn't know it. Because loving eyes can't see. A man will go all out for a woman that he loves. I mean, all out. Don't fool yourself. You don't have to trick him into nothing. You don't have to do none of that. And when I say trick him into in certain things, I'm not just talking about, oh, if you get pregnant, this, that, the other. That takes two to tangle. He was sleeping with you. You weren't sleeping with him alone. So don't feel like you tricked him into something, because he should have looked out for his best interest too. But he was there having fun with you. And some people may say, oh, well, she could have taken birth control pills. Oh, well, you could have married her if you wanted to sleep with her. See, that's how that goes. If you wanted to sleep with her, you should have married her. And that way you can't be sitting up there, wouldn't be sitting up there resenting her because she got pregnant with your baby. That's the way I look at that. So I don't entertain when men say, oh, and she tricked me and this and that, the other. I never intended on marriage. She tricked me. I don't entertain those types of conversations that men may have in talking about their significant other. Because my thoughts about it are like this. If you slept with the woman and you got her pregnant, if she was good enough to sleep with, she was good enough to marry. Now, if you were doing things like, okay, I'm just going to use her body and I'm going to move on to the next person, then you got what you got. And it is what it is. Some people may not agree with me, but this is my perspective on it. You cannot play with human beings' feelings and emotions. It's not even good to play with animals' feelings and emotions. I'm not trying to tell anybody how to run their lives, but if you do things to the best of your ability, to do things above board, as people would say, as older people would say, try to play fair is what I'm trying to say. In biblical terms, do unto others you have them do unto you. Then that minimizes a whole lot of stuff. Trouble is going to happen in life. The Bible still speaks to that. About having life and having troubles. But there are certain troubles you don't have to bring upon yourself. You don't have to bring certain troubles on yourself. And again, I'm not acting like I've lived a perfect life. I'm not. I've learned, I'm not saying that I have. I've learned from my experiences and the experiences of others. And so what I say on my show, I say with love, and not taking away from what anybody else says on their show. That's not my intent. But what I'm saying about what I'm doing, my way of speaking to everybody on my show, I try to show love and make sure that people have a good understanding about what I think is wise counsel. It's not expedient to do just everything that you want to do. There are repercussions. Very positive, there's a negative. Very good, there's a bad. But the Bible helps to keep things in perspective. That's what I'm trying to tell you. And I think it's sad that a woman has given herself to a man and she has to wonder if he wants to marry her. I think that that's sad. I think it's wrong on every account. And I think that if that man's worth his weight in salt, as I explained to you, like the old people used to say, because salt used to be a precious commodity that people could exchange for things that they needed, food, clothing. I think that if a man is worth his salt, he would do the right thing by that one. And ladies, if he chooses not, and he says, oh, well, we need to go to counseling, this and that, the other, I'm going to tell you like this. I would not go to counseling with a man who does not think enough of me to marry me. And I'm gonna tell you why I would not go to counseling with a man who does not think enough of me to marry me. I'm gonna tell you why. Because if I've given that man over a year of my time, and he says we need to go to counseling and talk about some things, I think that my personality is such that you could tell me at home what you need to tell me, and I'm not going to act a fool with you. And you should know that by now. And we should be able to discuss whatever we need to discuss at home or wherever you want to discuss it. And you speak about it from your perspective, and I speak about it from my perspective. And if we don't agree, then at that point, we make a conscious decision that we can disagree on certain things to a certain point and stay together. But certain things that we disagree on, they are a deal breaker for us getting married. And with me, it's just that simple. So I wouldn't even insult my intelligence. And that's not saying I'm any better than anybody else, but I know me at this point. At my age, I know me. Because I'm at that place. I know me. I wouldn't insult my intelligence of going to a counselor to talk about nothing. Because to me, a counselor doesn't help you, wouldn't help me and with a man if I think that he should marry me and he doesn't marry me, and counseling wouldn't help in my situation, I don't think, because anybody else's situation at that point, because I think that man has already made his decision, and what he's trying to do is keep the woman from acting a fool when he says he doesn't want to get married. That's what I think at that point. That the counseling is merely a way to keep the woman from clowning him or going crazy. Because after all these years of everything she's done, all her money, her time, and possibly even have babies for him, he still does not want to marry her. So I think in talking to a counselor makes him feel like, well, at that point, she can go and she can be reasonable about his decision not to marry her. I'm not going. I don't think that I need to help a man out in that aspect. I don't think I need to help a man make a nut out of me. And as I told you, if I've gone with a man and we've broken up, and the relationship has not been something where I felt like, well, I don't ever need to be back with him because of certain things that would not be wise, certain reasons, it's just not wisdom. It is nothing like that. And it's just regular breakup stuff, immaturity on his part or something on my part where he thought that, where I thought that both of us could have merged better, neither one of us would give on it. Then at that point, I would make a decision whether or not I wanted to be with that person. And I wouldn't care what anybody thought. But if it's a decision, something like this, for being with somebody for over a year and committing yourself and doing the very best you can, and then they're saying, well, I need to go to counseling because I'm still not ready, and I think that I need to talk to somebody and have you there, and we discuss some things so that I can get ready. Oh no, I'm through. Because a man knows what he wants to do. There have been stories about men who have told women that they never plan to marry. And these women went with them for years and loved them and everything, full relationship with them. And then a man finally meets a woman he wants to marry, and then it don't take him over a year to marry. And these men said, and the man said, the women said, when we go back to the man, said, I thought that you said you weren't ever going to marry. And all he says, I changed my mind. Now she's used a lot of times her body, her giving her money, her time, and he goes and marries somebody else. What he's actually saying is, I don't want to marry you. So what you need to do, women, is that you need to realize that you are beautifully and wonderfully made, as the Bible has said, and do not allow what God has made as a beautiful creation to be subjected to any type of disregard or disappointment that is unnecessary. Don't allow a man to disregard who you are and your worth and put you through unnecessary changes, is what I'm trying to say to you. Now, I hope that everything I've said has helped all of you because it comes from my heart. And again, I tell you, this show, Marry Me Now, that comes on after Love, Marriage, and Huntsville on Saturday nights on at 9 p.m. and then it's on Discovery 2. I hope that you all will get an opportunity to watch it because it's good TV. And Rebecca Lynn Pope does a great job in helping these women to understand their worth. And I am not saying going to counseling is something that people should not do as far as in relationships. I'm not saying that at all. I'm speaking from my perspective in regards to what I think a man understands and knows in regards to what he wants. Because I believe that people, if they need to go to counseling, they should go to counseling. I have a master's degree in counseling. So I'm not saying that at all. What I'm saying to you is know your worth. Because a man knows what he wants. And it does not take him a long time to make a decision about what he wants. Now, if he's been with you this length of time, there are qualities in you that he likes, but you need to make sure those qualities are not things that just benefit him and don't benefit you. That's what I'm trying to tell you. Don't allow him to take up your time. Use your time and your body. And if the relationship is over, don't sit around sulking and crying and all this kind of stuff because you're messing up your looks. Get yourself together. Move around in a different space around different people so that somebody else will see you and you can move on with your life. I know it's going to be painful. I know it's going to hurt. I know you're going to have to cry sometimes, but you're also going to have to do it for your own mental stability. And just learn from it. And don't put yourself in that situation again. And if the relationship does work out and you all go ahead and get married and everything, then that's a beautiful thing. Congratulations. But remember, let God be God and man be man. Never make anybody else responsible for your happiness. Check your heart. Check your life. And when you write down the likes and dislikes about yourself, after you've read them, you've examined them, you've deciphered them, throw that paper away. Don't let it sit somewhere where somebody else can get it. That's your personal thoughts. Don't give anybody anything to discuss about you that may be negative. Deal with you without putting yourself out there for letting others define who you are. Because when other people define who you are, they can put limitations on you. And if you're already in a bad space in your head, a bad place in your head, and you already let negative thoughts make space in your brain, then you're just going to add that mess on too. Deal with you. Inward, the heart, the mind, and outward, as far as how you dress, how you look. so that your disappointment does not show in how you dress and how you look. Because it's not easy to draw somebody to you when you don't look like you're happy. Make yourself find happiness. There's a whole lot of things going on in the world. If you're just good to be alive, that's a blessing. Smile about that. All I can do is tell you what I think can help. It's for entertainment purposes, but I hope it blesses you. And I hope you enjoy watching the broadcast in regards to relationships and if a man, if a woman should ask a man to marry. Now, since it is National Women's History Month, we're going to talk about Women's History Month, and the person we're going to talk about is Harriet Tubman and all the contributions that Harriet Tubman made during her lifetime. Everybody knows we used to call the mother Harriet Tubman. Harriet Tubman was an outstanding black woman who lived during the time of slavery, but she escaped from slavery and she went on to emancipate others from slavery. She did 13 missions that were recorded, but as history tells us, there were others that were not recorded. But she brought hundreds of people out of bondage, which was slavery, to freedom, including family members and friends. Miss Harriet Tubman went on to be a politician and an activist. She died in 1913 on March 10th in Auburn, New York. So we celebrate Miss Harriet Tubman for National History Month. And it is also Social Work Month, National Social Work Month. So for National Social Work Month, we celebrate Frances Feldman. Frances Feldman was a social worker, and she worked she went to school at the University of Southern California. She went on and she went on to fight for rights for those who had cancer and were trying to work on a job and were being discriminated against. And she went on to make sure that there was legislature put in place so these individuals will never be discriminated against. And now it is not legal to discriminate against people for health reasons in the workplace at this time because of contributions that she made in history. She was an outstanding woman. And we're remembering her in history for Social Work Month. And again, I tell you, if you know someone who is a social worker, please, if you can do anything for them before this month ends, like maybe give them a gift card or tell them something nice that you appreciate what they've done, whether it's a man or female, that will be really nice because a little encouragement goes a long way. They pour out of their hearts to do for people. And sometimes this is the type of work where a person can become very drained. I know because as a counselor, we would often go speak to each other in our offices about different things so that we could pour out, so that we could receive what our clients had to talk to us about. Because sometimes it can be emotionally draining. And when I went to school, some of my classmates, they veered off from the classes that we were taking, and they went under the umbrella of social work, and I stayed under the umbrella of counseling. But we worked hand in hand a lot of times when we had to work with clients, because sometimes the client spoke with the social worker and he spoke with the counselor. So we were able to still speak with each other when out in my dealing with social workers. So I know that the work can be very draining, and I commend anyone who goes into professional social work. The color for the social work for this year is green because they're dealing with environment and how we as human beings can control how the environment is and they're right as far as like with the glaciers and ice melting and everything. We want to be mindful of the environment. And so if you can give them something, even beautiful green plant. And before you do, make sure you find out something they're not allergic to, because you never, if they're allergic to or may not have, they may have allergies to because of sometimes allergies and everything. But I hope this show has been a blessing to you, and I hope that I've helped someone. Again, it's for entertainment purposes, but I just love to be there and help people, and I hope that I have not offended anyone. But I can apologize for just giving my perspective on it, because I know that sometimes people don't want to hear certain things, but the truth cuts like a two-edged sword, and what ails if the truth is good for what ails you, because it also heals you. God bless you, and I thank God for the show, and the blessings that He has poured into Endure Entertainment, and it's brought to you by Endure Entertainment on BFTM and Network. And I hope to see you all in the same place at the same time on next Sunday. Thank you for watching. Bye bye.